My name is Angela Rowe. This is a project called I Say a Little Prayer for You. This is a collaborative art project where I invited women to create a self-portrait, collecting a trace of their makeup on cloth. In response to this process, women started to share experiences and reflections on their relationship with makeup, identity, performance of the self, social constructs around beauty and personal power. Last month I read some of their stories. Tonight I reread their stories and share my responses to some of them, continuing the conversation. Thoughts. I kept putting it off as I rarely wear makeup. Finally the day came and it was now or never. I got up and fished out my bag of makeup. Natural glow for foundation, it doesn't fall too far into the face cracks. An extra swish on the cheek to highlight who knows what. 2 tones of eyeshadow. The colour hasn't changed in 20 years. Mascara and a second layer to make sure it would leave a print. Lipstick swished on with the peaks drawn in. Wet the cloth and wring it out a bit. Head back, here we go. I can't breathe. Relax, relax. Rub the eyes, mouth to transfer the print with a gentle rub around the face. Done. Darn it. Big creases across the lips. Round 2. Still can't breathe, but I'm expecting it this time. Different print, but interesting too. Dry it and get it in the post. Don't forget to write my name on the back of the envelope. Thanks for the opportunity. So I said, thank you for your thoughts. I can't help but feel a sense of occasion in the process you describe. I got up and fished out my bag of makeup. Thank you for taking the time to go through this process. It feels like it was an effort, yet playful and perhaps a little fun for you. I remember reading recently an article entitled Makeup Advice for Women Over 40. I don't read women's magazines. I never really got into them, except maybe for the odd crossword, and I have had to do more research on makeup with this project. And now Google is advertising makeup-related material and products to me every day, especially for older women. Anyway, so I read the title of the article and thought, I'm 41 now, I should probably read this. What if I'm missing something important? I don't wear a lot of makeup, but it might be good to read just in case, you know. So skimming over the editorial content and how the pigment on our faces fade, as our hair often does as we age, the gist of it came down to switching face powder foundation for cream foundation, along with recommended brands, of course. The difference between powder foundation and cream foundation immediately made me think of my nanas. They both wore face powder, some or all of the time, and you're right, it really does fall into the face cracks. Many thanks for the opportunity to take part in your lovely project. I took this print at the end of a long day, just before bedtime. As usual, I hadn't worn makeup. I only do this when culturally necessary, i.e. in job interview, presentation, or really dressy social event, not for normal work or social stuff. But at least the cloth has the imprint of my sweat, the skin cells I've sloughed off during the day, perhaps, and it conformed to my face as it relaxed just before rest. Best of luck. I was happy to be involved in your project as I am an advocate of sharing and caring for women. My grandfather's favourite poem comes to mind. I shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer it or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Stephen Grellet. Your project is of interest to me as I grapple with feminist issues myself, albeit from a different standpoint. There are definitely crossovers. The first impression I made only left minimal traces of mascara, so I decided to do the second piece, wanting to leave more of a face visible. I applied bright lipstick and some extra makeup that I don't normally wear. It showed a little more, but not much. Taking part in the project did make me consider why I wear makeup. Makeup can enhance features and hide blemishes. I do it for myself, for self-confidence, especially when meeting and greeting people that I don't know well. I do like to look natural though, so I keep it to a minimum and prefer not to wear it when on holiday or at home at the weekends. I don't spend much time in front of the mirror. I've got too many other interests in life to get on with. I found the experience very interesting. Taking off the cloth and seeing my makeup without me was like looking at an alien twin. I suppose it makes sense that our eye makeup would leave such emotional imprints, given that our eyes are our most expressive features. But I found it surprising, since the first posts you made on Instagram, to see how evocative even one set of eyelashes can be. I made the first one early on New Year's morning after being out and wearing my makeup for several hours. It came out ghostly and faint, and the colours of the makeup looked different to how they appear on my face. I must have moved the cloth during the process, so the space between my eyes and lips looks short, and I found the resultant effect disconcerting. However, I think the finished result captures what I was feeling at the time: happy, relaxed, sleepy. I made the second one later on New Year's Day. This time I applied makeup and then made the portrait immediately. The marks were more satisfyingly vivid, though the emotion they captured was less appealing. I was grumpy and tired after a short night's sleep, and irritated by an argument with a family member. I wonder if you see the same emotions, or if I'm just projecting my memories onto these images. So I said, I have wondered too about whether makeup or grooming enhances my feelings or transforms this internal mood. How much can I really hide or conceal with makeup? My mum still says to me, "Oh, you look so tired," whether I'm wearing makeup or not. Can I hide red, tired eyes with makeup? Can I shift focus away from them if I wear bright red lipstick? Thanks for inviting me to join in your project. Starting the new year in collaboration and art felt right. Makeup. I wear less the older I get. I was never a huge makeup wearer on a daily basis. For me, it has been for going out, for performing, for parties and events. To look awake in my mama years. Amazing what a bit of mascara can do to an operating on zero sleep mama re self-esteem and disguise. I've always been fairly crap at putting it on though. Never gotten into contouring and shading, etc. Far too time consuming and feels like too much effort. So I did want my contribution to reflect that occasion of makeup, of the play, the flim-flam, the joy of disguise. Here are some experiences that I have been reminded of as I wrote this. 1. As a child, I recall reading makeup ads in magazines from the 70s and 80s that emphasise you should wear makeup, but make it look like you are not wearing any makeup. I recently read Surfacing by Margaret Atwood, written and published in the early 70s. There is a character in the book that strikes me as stereotypical of this time. She wears makeup all the time, rising before her husband to put it on so he never has to see her without it. Her skill with making her makeup look natural is mentioned several times. So I said, oh yes, the idea that we should look like we're not wearing makeup. I remember in my late teens and 20s, I used to spend a lot of time at the beach and never really wore makeup then. And I think about different fads of makeup, like the beach look, when you buy a product to give you beach hair, when you could just go swimming and then you'd have beach hair. And that there is a natural look, which you still have to buy products for to achieve effectively, which is where you wear makeup, like you say, but you look like you're not wearing makeup. I think this is also a youthful kind of look. One Christmas with my female cousin and sister, one of us had been given some makeup and we all sat down to put some on. My cousin warned us that we should not wear eyeshadow because her mother told her that it looked cheap and slutty. I argued that that was nonsense. To me, eyeshadow was the most interesting makeup in the box, with its lurid and sparkly colours. Shortly thereafter, my cousin asked me if I was a prude. I had to look that word up in the dictionary, but I knew she was trying to insult me because I liked eyeshadow. In hindsight, I'm not sure she knew what prude meant either, but we all knew that slut and prude were two things you did not want to be. When I was 12, my friend's older sister asked if she could do my makeup for me. She put on heavy eyeshadow in hot pink and navy blue with thick mascara. I can still remember looking in the mirror and feeling beautiful and glamorous and grown up. When her mother saw me, she chastised her daughter for putting too much makeup on me. In the late 80s, my mother lost her job officially to restructuring, though the only thing they restructured was to remove her position and recreate it a few weeks later. This followed months of them suggesting her appearance was not good enough. The only visible change I recall was that she ceased wearing makeup after her allergies flared up, and makeup exacerbated the irritation. Mum tells me there was more to it, but this was my adolescent interpretation of events. It has been interesting thinking about my relationship to makeup and the role it plays in my life. My mother-in-law is a bit of a bully. One Christmas was particularly bad. I was staying at her house and was feeling stressed and under pressure after we had clashed over something. I remember getting changed into my togs. They had a pool and the kids spent most of the day in and out of it and could not really swim, so I was on all the time. So I put on my togs, sarong, and my strongest, reddest lipstick. I was not into makeup much at the time and would never have usually put lipstick on by the pool. But this time, it was an act of defiance and a demonstration of my power. She couldn't hurt me. I've always worn makeup, albeit minimal, since I was 12. Foundation, mascara, and eyeliner. In the school holidays, we went sailing for 5 days, and I never showered or reapplied makeup. I did have flannel washes. When we got back, of course, the hot shower was amazing, but for the first time I can remember, I really loved my routine of putting the makeup back on. I thought of you straight away, as it's something I've always done and don't really understand why. And whenever we go camping or sailing, etc., it doesn't cross my mind, but I think as I have your project resonating in my brain, I suddenly became very conscious of the application and surprisingly loved it. So then I said, I can understand where you are coming from. I feel like there is something about grooming and taking care and time in applying makeup, like brushing tangles out of hair. It's interesting, isn't it? I feel like this at the end of the day when I wash my face and massage on face cream. Sometimes I'm just too tired, but it's like a closing ritual. I saw a random short doco years ago about 40s films and the strategy of seating a woman at her dressing table and mirror, preparing for her day or ending her day, having this moment with herself, like a moment of care and intimacy. Typically, there would be a monologue and she is giving attention only to herself. And then she said, yes, that is totally it. At the end of the day, the ritual is always a special one, though I do know I shall have a very sore right eye if I don't do it. I do find it so fascinating and really love my time applying makeup. It brought me such joy to be caring for myself, and definitely thinking of your project at the time had a big consideration. You've opened up a Pandora's box, and it's so fabulous the generosity you're receiving from women. We're all in this together, and we came through a generation that struggled with ourselves, feeling so alone. Dear Angela, thank you for inviting me to participate. I don't wear makeup or even own any, but I have made a self-portrait nonetheless. A point of significance for me here is that the act symbolizes an action of self-care, something I have often struggled with since becoming a mother. Exhaustion, disconnection, depression meant many, many days have passed where my face has gone unwashed. It is only through the love and care expressed for me by other women over a long time that I'm now better able to perform such acts of self-care too. So I said, thank you for your thoughts and for participating, creating a portrait, makeup or no makeup. I can relate well to your comments, especially with regards to your experience as a mother. I remember the early weeks, months, and then going on into years, where taking a moment for myself to wash my hair, shave my legs, or put on makeup was such an effort, but also some kind of necessity for me to feel like I could integrate into society again. When part of me was gone and I was learning about this new me, the mother, caring, feeding, cleaning, 24/7 for another being. Those were tough years, so tiring and isolating. So how do you hold on to yourself and who you are? How do you keep going for so long? It felt like reconstructing myself after those early years. I don't have any eyelashes anymore, really. I think this just happens when you get older, so this looks a bit funny. I don't usually wear foundation. I probably should though, especially at my age. But I don't like the way it feels on my skin. It's so greasy. When I was a teenager, I went through a phase of not being able to leave the house without wearing a makeup mask. I would feel entirely exposed and uncomfortable without the dark eyeliner and concealer. Now I hardly ever wear any makeup, and putting it on for the project was an interesting experience. I automatically surrounded my eyes with black, and the change I felt inside was quite profound, almost like unleashing another person from inside of me. An interesting thought of this personality, still living somewhere in me. A recklessness from somewhere deep down. I had to clean it off fairly quickly. Thanks for your incredible work and the open vulnerability and strength which comes from that. To be honest, there are very little times when I put on a face these days, and so the opportunities to create an image were realistically few and far between. The face impressions were taken on a day that I went for a job interview. Very interesting to note the performative aspects to this, and how we feel that we have to somehow present ourselves in the best possible light, i.e., not in our natural state of not being made up, in order to make a good impression. The ability to appear functional, professional, capable, energetic, passionate, etc. is somehow linked to wearing red lipstick, at least in my mind, although consciously I know that this isn't true. As a child of the 70s and the daughter of a woman who left work permanently as soon as she got pregnant, I've been encouraged to believe that success outwardly manifests in appearance, and that professional success equates to independent income, enabling the purchase of expensive clothes, the freedom in terms of time for extensive personal grooming, and some make-believe life or after-work functions, flirtatious liaisons for freedom. How do I feel about makeup? Personally, I like it. Realistically, I only ever wear it for a reason, and mainly my application of it on a daily basis is very minimal. The luxury of having time to apply a face seems mainly irrelevant in a current lifestyle of working from home and ongoing children and pet care. I do genuinely feel better about myself if I have taken the time to present myself well. Wearing makeup does give me some subtle additional confidence, and wearing lipstick especially, weirdly, makes me as though I am ready to tackle the day head face on. If ever I feel low, putting on a bright lippy can actually make me feel better. Have I been brainwashed? Probably. How do I feel about my self-portrait? I like both of them, but was a bit disappointed in how little makeup came off. I thought I was wearing quite a lot of makeup and that I'd create a really strong impression, complete with eyeshadow and nose foundation. So it was a bit of a letdown to see that only the eyes and the lips appeared. But I do quite like their ghostly appearance. My mouth appears sadder than expected. It's probably because I tilted my head back and my jaw relaxed. I love what you're doing, and I think en masse a ton of these would look incredible. So I said, I don't think I've ever used the term to put on a face, though my mum used to say it. She would say, "Oh, I have to put my face on," if someone was coming over or before leaving the house. I was thinking about the messages that we get from our mothers if we have one growing up. I remember that my mum used to dress well, even to go to the doctor, including makeup, a nice dress, tidy hair. I couldn't understand it at the time. But of course, looking back, I remember she rarely went out or saw non-family or close friends. I think this also came with a desire or pressure to be well-groomed, even when she was feeling unwell. Reading your thoughts, it really feels like little has changed. When you speak about outward manifestations of success, I think about social media and perhaps the pressure to share only acceptable images of the self, of our lives, and think about the kinds of images Instagram is saturated with. These are mostly young, slim, white, happy, fun-loving women. There are, of course, people pushing back, but it feels somewhat futile. I also appreciate your remarks about lifestyle and makeup, including time pressure to put it on. It feels useful to me for stepping into a role, as I also work remotely and from home. I feel better if I have risen early, showered and dressed. This physically and mentally prepares me for work, or the next thing I have to attend to, be that family or study or work. When I was younger, girls teased me about having a monobrow. I went home from school one day and plucked off my eyebrows. They never properly grew back. Now I have to draw them on each day. The feeling of the cloth on my face, damp and clinging, was almost a suffocating feeling, which gave me a sense of fear. When thinking about the project, I brought to mind Jesus and his shroud, the Shroud of Turin. So many analogies of death, the death mask. My mum died 6 years ago, and before she died, I asked her what she wanted to be dressed in, and she replied a shroud. The fabric reminded me of wrapping her body in the shroud. Putting on makeup is not something I do every day. Often it's about protecting my skin, or using it to even out my complexion. Makeup feels like a mask I use to feel presentable or to hide behind the blemishes in my emotional body. We had a few laughs putting on makeup and discussing our makeup routines and how we used makeup. The names for makeup. Foundation. For what? A foundation for youth? A house? Concealer. Concealing our imperfections. Shadow, used around the light of our eyes. A lipstick, a stick to our lips. Thank you for this opportunity. It was enlightening and fun and special to engage in this project with a friend for something that connects us with womanhood. So I said thank you for the analogy of the shroud and the imagery that drew up. I feel like I experience these portraits from the inside out. I have created many myself, and I feel a ritual association and a sense of care with the process. I chose cotton, the best I could find, so that it might feel soft to touch. And of course, cloth, cotton and textiles have many skin-like associations. I feel like there is something significant in the fact that the portraits I have received have been on somebody's face. I think it is interesting that the connection you draw with the exterior, maybe the inner and then the public sphere, the public self that we present to the world. Do we really hide what is going on internally? I think perhaps there is not such a separation. At least it can take years to create such a face. When I was about 16 or 17, I had a friend whose mum was an Avon lady. I wasn't really into makeup, but my friend was. Every day she would put on a full face, concealing blemishes and freckles, dealing with acne with ruthless precision. I just wasn't into it. It felt like too much effort to put into something so superficial. This friend told a mutual friend that I really should wear more makeup. I would probably look quite good with makeup, and that I might even get a boyfriend if I wore more makeup. I was amused and a bit sad, and knew that I didn't really want a shallow boyfriend I had to win or impress with makeup. So then I said, I remember well my teenage years. Us girls weren't allowed to wear makeup at school, so that was most of the day. And then I guess there was a tendency for some to go all out when not in school. I had a friend who was the youngest of 3 girls, and it was sort of this rite of passage for her, and an expectation that she would wear makeup, as I'm sure she had seen her elder sisters doing. I think it was far more a part of her growing up than it was of mine. I'm the eldest child and have only brothers. Aside from my mum, I didn't see that much use of makeup, and didn't really spend time in the bathroom playing with it, and I never really learnt to apply it properly. The flatness of the portrait is disorientating. It's unfamiliar and unlike me. I don't feel like I own it. I want to change it. I don't often wear makeup. When I do, it's for occasions, parties, weddings, funerals, formal work situations. Painting my face just to wipe it off for this project felt curious. Spending time looking at myself and how the makeup covered, changed and highlighted different aspects of my face, and the face I pulled to look at the finished job. Typically I do this in a rush with little consideration. It made me think about how I use makeup. I was left feeling like I might use it more often and more for fun. Kia ora, Angela. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of this project. I didn't expect to feel so deeply about it. A lot of reflection. One piece, barely any makeup, red lips, was post-work. I rarely wear makeup, opting instead for a tinted BB cream. Occasionally when interviewing someone I add mascara and lipstick for a boost of confidence. Where did that idea come from? How does lipstick make me confident? Perhaps it's a visual demarcation between motherhood and career. The other piece, more makeup, purple lips, was post-makeover by my young daughters. Raising my tama wahine, I'm conscious of body image, sexuality, societal pressures. Watching them select colours and an excess of makeup was heartwarming. For them, at present, it's about joy, about colour, about fun. They don't feel the heavy weight of societal expectations or norms. You want to wear peacock purple eyeshadow all the way to your brows? Go for it. How do I ensure this joy, this fun remains? On a personal level, this project made me consider how do those two sides of me, mother and journalist, work together? How does one side affect the other, and what are those effects? Does my physical appearance matter for either side? I Say a Little Prayer raised more questions than answers for me. Taking part of our New Year's, this led to a profoundly deep and moving experience for me. Nā mihi motu mahi toi, nā mihi ramo nā raki mua te aroa. Ka pai te whakakateinga toi. Thank you for your work, your art. All the best for your future, and have a great exhibition. So in response, I said, I found it really interesting what this project has drawn out. So many complex stories and multiple ways of experiencing the self and the role of makeup in performing ourselves, especially when it comes to self-confidence. I went for many years not wearing makeup, really only mascara, even when I was working or studying. I didn't have a lot of time, and it felt superfluous. I just wanted to feel groomed, but not done up or made up. Even this language has so many connotations that can be taken negatively. I'm made up, like fake or unreal, false. I love the way you describe your children's experience of makeup. To be honest, I don't know that much about how to apply it either. Concealer, blush, eyeshadow, not very familiar to me. I feel like I'm not really passing on skills in makeup, but I'm happy when my children have a play. My daughter was given this big makeup box at Christmas, which she used mostly to draw on her body, leaves and flowers sprouting all the way up one arm. I love this approach. She also was simply playing, and she's interested in tattoos, so this is about body art and self-expression. As you say, without the baggage you or I may carry. She just could have fun. On your note about reconciling the two sides of your identity, the work you and the mother you, can we really separate? I feel like in different situations, work, family, or out in public, we moderate our self-expression, perhaps more professional at work. Perhaps makeup, like other forms of dress and adornment, allow us to tap into or activate certain aspects of our identity to perform a function more effectively. For the last few years, I have been wearing makeup to work on a daily basis, a new habit for me. For most of my adult life, makeup has been something I wear only on special occasions or a night out. Part of the reason for this is that I had terrible acne through my 20s and early 30s and was afraid to wear makeup too often, as it tended to irritate my skin. However, my skin has now improved and makeup is no longer irritating. Maybe I just buy better brands. And I found the practice of wearing makeup and removing it each night has encouraged a good skincare routine. Generally, I enjoy the process of putting makeup on and transforming myself for the day, and then the nightly ritual of taking it off again. Sometimes, though, daily use of makeup comes with a sense that it is an obligation rather than a pleasure. At work, I wear just a light foundation and some mascara and sheer lipstick. It takes me only a few minutes to put on. Some days I would rather not wear it, but I also feel the need to keep up a consistent appearance at work. On days when it feels like an obligation, it can also feel like an act of trickery or subterfuge, as if I'm hiding the real, less appealing me. Sometimes I catch myself wondering if anyone notices I wear makeup. Am I getting away with it? Then I wonder, What am I trying to get away with? Looking younger? Looking more feminine? Maybe just looking happy and alert on days when I am tired and sad. Last year, I attended a Look Good, Feel Better session, which was a makeup tutorial for women who have had treatment for breast cancer. I enjoyed the session. It was fun to brighten myself up with makeup when I had been feeling quite fatigued. However, I realised that a lot of the makeup products donated to us by cosmetic companies contained ingredients which were not good for my health. I decided to make every effort to find the best organic products available. And as I did not want to devote too much time to putting on makeup, I would just choose a few appropriate cosmetics in my daily routine. I still find it fun to use makeup, and I try to ensure that I have enough spaciousness in my day to devote to self-care. This has been more difficult in the lead up to Christmas when there are more demands on my time and energy, and it is easier to get tired and stressed. The self-portrait shows how makeup can also be a mask to put on for others. So I said, "Thank you for sharing this experience. Even the name of the workshop is interesting. I'm sure that in giving some attention to ourselves, we can lift ourselves up. This is when it feels like care and consideration. I can well relate to the problem of the ingredients in many makeup products and in other skincare products. I make my own skin cream for quite a few years to avoid irritants. I think that as I've grown older, my skin is more sensitive to what I put on it. The mask we wear, that's a common theme that comes through this project. So this mask we wear for others is a bit of a theme. I've received a lot to think about on this. Thinking on the Look Good, Feel Better title, I'm reminded how it seems to be human nature to reflect back to another person how they may be feeling, and that if we look good, fit or tidy or groomed, people may treat us with more respect. They might be more pleasant, and perhaps that is part of the feel-good idea. I don't enjoy wearing makeup. I hate the way it feels on my skin. I rarely wear it, and when I do, the time it takes to get it to look right frustrates me. Wearing it makes me feel self-conscious. Have I smudged it? Is it still there? It is an incredible relief to take it off. For me, the result is not worth the effort, particularly as I think I look fine without it. There is a strange expectation for women to have to present well, and for that presentation to be largely focused on a manufactured type of beauty. I'm not against makeup or people wearing it if they want to, but I don't really understand it as a daily routine. It seems really restrictive to me. So who is it for? If it's for myself, then I don't get to appreciate it, except when looking in a mirror, a reverse perspective to what others see, or retrospectively seeing myself in photographs, which is the perspective that others see me, but how I never see myself. If it's for other people, then what is that about? So others can perceive me as flawless, as younger, as beautiful, as desirable, as happy. Some people, and many advertising campaigns, describe wearing makeup as imbuing them with power. I don't understand that either. Does that mean when you take it off, you become vulnerable? It seems so tragic to me that someone should feel vulnerable for looking the way they look. And it angers me that both men and women have brought into the idea that women are only as powerful as their appearance. True strength is invisible. When I look at my portraits, there's not much there. I can see the impression of my lips, but only the very faintest smudge of the mascara and eyeshadow. Maybe it's fitting that the eyes are missing, given that I don't believe that human beauty is visual. So I said, I think you raise really interesting questions regarding the purpose of makeup and the role it plays or has played in your life. Most of us living here in Aotearoa will have had some experience of makeup, even if just on the bodies of others. Interrogating ourselves and asking, who is it for, is a good question. Of course, this is really personal, and as these stories show, for even a relatively small sample of women, there are many different uses for and ways to experience makeup. Your thoughts about makeup being empowering or not is really interesting also. Especially in that we ought to feel some sense of power to be successful or to engage in life or express ourselves, as if we need something. I don't know what to say we need. Is it a crutch? But the idea that we need something more, that we are not already enough as we are. This is something I have reflected on too. For me, I enjoy makeup as self-expression. I see as I grow older though, I feel pressure to maintain a sense of physical grooming, and that this is also something I do for myself. I often find myself thinking about makeup as a mask, but it is probably more accurate to say it functions as armour, protecting me from unwanted judgments. Perhaps my own judgments most of all. On days when I feel like wearing makeup, though, it becomes an act of care as I invest time and effort to give the right appearance or to present myself to the world in the best way I can. Then it feels like a creative endeavour that helps me express who I am in the world or who I want to be. Dear Angela, thank you for asking me to be a part of your project. I love the collective yet anonymous offerings concept and its way of bringing attention to the performative mask women wear. I was pleased to note that the only cosmetics that were transferred from my face to the cloth was lipstick, a signal of transformation to me as I used to be a makeup artist, which came with much feminist conflict, expectations of women to be done, polished, and put their face on. Weddings were particularly challenging, especially when grooms jilted brides the night before the wedding. I could go on. Best wishes for your project. Something enigmatic. Makeup is as much me as any other thing I choose to wear, and I love how makeup changes my appearance. It's possible in times past I disguised myself by not wearing makeup or outrageous clothes. People expected another look, so they did not recognise me. Makeup's also fun, provoking, confidence building, and a lovely ritual to prepare for the outside world. In many ways, there's no real us, because we're always changing and may look different at any time, by choice, accident, or through others' changed perception. We need love and care, kindness. This helps us relate better than identity. So then I said, when you say there is no real us, I tend to agree. We change, age, hopefully we shift, we learn. The person we are to a partner, to a parent, to a child or a work colleague is always a little different. We make subtle changes or adjustments in response to them and in relating to our surroundings. We are all grounded, hopefully, in a deeper sense of ourselves. But even though we may play many roles, makeup, dress and adornment can all enhance this, allowing one to experiment with different identities. Hi, Angela. Thank you for the experience. I'm not making myself up often, but always enjoy seeing a made-up woman. I think I'll try to make myself up more often. Even if it's only eye shade, it's still fun. I have a 7-year-old daughter who loves to make up for years already. We hardly watch television, and I certainly did not encourage her to do that. Thinking of it, the few will never go outside without any makeup woman I know are powerful women. Also throughout history, makeup was used by women to gain power. Okay, I think we can admit that men are stronger physically by nature, but we have our own power, and makeup and self-care can enhance it. I've put quite a lot of makeup on by my terms for this project. I love the result. Did it for you, but also as an adventure. It's not every day my face will be on a gallery wall. Did not think it'll bring me so many thoughts. Might try making myself up more often for a while. It's interesting what can happen. Firstly, I absolutely love the feel of the cloth as I unfolded it and felt the clean, clear, free space it presented to me. I am at a point in my life where I'm craving authenticity like never before, and this project comes as I step out alone for the first time in my 54 years, reflecting on what life is now presenting me and what I am presenting life, as I search for a brand new pathway to call my own. I feel this to be a time where I'm seeking relationships and environments that match my personal ethics, standards and frequency, where I feel heard, valued, and most of all whole. A sacred space to dwell that is uncorrupted and unscripted by the past. I offer up this portrait honouring the moment that everything changed. Dear Angela, thanks for the invite. I found this difficult to do, though, as I realised I hardly ever wear makeup. Didn't quite realise how little I did until I found myself awaiting the next opportunity to contribute to your project. Hope it goes well. P.S. The makeup is from a cocktail party last night. Makeup has never felt like my friend. I was never allowed to play with makeup as a child. Now, when I try to apply it, it feels like I'm still a child, with childlike strokes full of insecurity. It's hard to shake the feeling that I'm trying to cover up who I really am. The freedom I felt as I dragged the colours from my face was empowering. I loved removing the makeup more than applying it. Staring at what was left behind was strange, like staring at an empty cocoon. I know that I am more than the traces of those colours. Yes, I am more than that. Thank you for listening. If you would like to learn more about the project, I say a little prayer for you. And if you would like to participate, you can find me on Instagram as Pretty Mermaid's Purse, and as I say, a little prayer for you. Thank you to all the women who participated in this project, and thank you especially for so generously sharing your stories. Good night.